because we are talking technology, we can't avoid the use of a PowerPoint. So I'm going to sort of share some slides in a minute, but that's just really to kind of just really give an idea of what we're trying to achieve, what it looks like actually, and why. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the this course, what we're going to try to help you with, and then sort of take some questions and stuff towards the end. So I'm just going to share the screen. Okay. Perfect. So can you see a red screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So this is our digital champion training, and it's kind of brought in kind of partnership with Kingston Voluntary Action, Superhighways, and ourselves, ClearCommunityWeb. And we call it people first approach, because historically computers, and I think this is part of the problem, have been framed around the kind of the backdrop of kind of IT. And we kind of feel that, for a lot of people, that's quite intimidating. When we're now talking about things being very connected and interconnected and different types of devices, it's much more about what people are trying to do or being prevented from doing. So whether that is kind of now, the inability to contact or access a GP because you've got the wrong type of phone, as kind of Nick alluded to earlier on. But actually, it's also because the type of support that we're doing or the type of help that people need is often outside of the classroom. It's often within community kitchens, food banks. It might be, in the back of a car on the way to a volunteering event. It's wherever people kind of need it. And I think understanding that and understanding that we need to go to and work with people, I think actually means that it's much more of a learning journey for us as well. So this is a training and support program for Kingston's VCSE to essentially upskill volunteers or staff to become what they call a digital champion. So we hope it's an excellent opportunity to build your organisation's capacity to support Kingston residents and digital inclusion to address other barriers. So as I say, my name is Caspar Kennerdale, and I'm from ClearCommunityWeb, and we avoid the technology side, but we help people feel more confident and comfortable. And I think that that is really the key, and helping people to become more independent and less anxious. Okay. We worked with over 1,000 residents last year. That's our credentials. But as I say, working with residents is sitting down, listening, and as much of our time is spent observing. So this is a little graphic formed by an organization called Good Things Foundation. Some of you may have heard of them, and if you haven't, at the end of the course, you will definitely know who they are. And it's an interesting graphic because it kind of just visually shows us some of the challenges and issues around this thing called digital inclusion. Now, I'll send this over to you separately so we can, you can look at it in your own time. But top line, there's 8.5 million people in the UK that still lack basic digital skills to conduct life, whether that is keeping in contact, communicating, whether that's access employment, volunteering, or whether it's accessing the critical services they need. And many people get left behind, and the gap often is a gulf that people don't always recognize it's there until afterwards. But this isn't a small or an inconsiderable issue. It's something that is now becoming more prevalent as services are increasingly going online, and councils, statutory services, other organizations are designing things digitally first, but don't always consider that there needs to be alternatives for those that can't access it. So what is a digital champion? So a digital champion, from our definition, I think, is someone that helps residents or clients or community members, whatever your terminology is, with what I would call a digital issue. It could be also about accessing devices and other schemes, as well as to support their learning. But it's also a great way to develop our own understanding of people and skills. And I think a real key point for everything that we do is that you really don't need to be an expert to support people. And actually, it's probably better a lot of the time if you're not, because it means that, you know, we can talk at more of a peer level. We can talk at an eye to eye with someone. You're not someone looking over the back of someone's shoulder. You know, you can sit and have a conversation. And during the course, we will be talking quite a lot about things like um, our body posture, how we are, how we speak to people, how we communicate to someone that actually could be facing a significant amount of anxiety simply because they may feel that, you know, they shouldn't have this question, and some of them may not even be able to frame the question to begin with. But what does this kind of work look like? So here's just some slides from, you know, just some typical what I would call interventions that we kind of work alongside and with people. So a lot of the work that we do, but we would really, you know, encourage other organizations to think about working with peers and the use of other kind of peer support, bringing their experience into the equation. We can do this work in a larger social environment as well. It doesn't need to be and shouldn't necessarily need to be on a one-to-one basis, because, you know, that can actually be quite taxing on concentration levels. We can think about a community learning kind of concept. So the roots before sort of structured accredited learning, but allowing people to start to kind of focus themselves over a period of time, whether it's a pathway or short courses, and looking at how that can kind of transform not only someone's skills, but their confidence to then go and do something else. Other ways that we can, you know, kind of help people is with practical workshops. We can, you know, look at every opportunity for people to actually do something, and phones are a great opportunity for that, because the phone is something that, you know, if someone that is technically in the direction of, you know, oh, I don't know how to use a computer, I don't want to do it, you know, I feel left behind or whatever, they're more likely to have access to a mobile phone or know someone that has. So we kind of feel that focusing a lot of energy around supporting mobile phones with the different utilities and different things that we can use them for is a nice kind of a quick win. But it's also a nice way of people kind of doing things together. You know, phones you can kind of share, you can kind of help each other with. And person-centered approach that also looks at and supports and helps individual needs. So whether that is a specific intervention, you know, we do have the structure to do some work in the home, but I'm thinking really here about being able to set up or find access to a resource to get a device set up that's specific to a need. So whether that is a visual impairment, whether that is something around dyslexia, whether that is just a preferred method of using a device that is not using a mouse or a traditional way, looking at what's right for the person and not necessarily what you would recommend. And we do this by thinking less about technology, really, and more about what the person is trying to do. So are they trying to access care and support? Are they kind of feeling a bit lonely or need to kind of get out and meet new groups? Do they actually have an anxiety about this stuff? So these are the things we're trying to kind of help people resolve. It just so happens there's often a mobile phone or a laptop or a tablet kind of in the way. So we're just helping people kind of do a hop, skip and a jump sometimes, just to help them do the thing that they need to do. So I guess the aims and objectives over the 4 sessions initially, really just to provide volunteers and organizations with an understanding of how to support excluded people in getting the skills and confidence to participate online. And through that, we will, you know, understand the challenges in supporting people at a deeper level, developing a person-centered approach as a group, and to provide a framework to help start or support a digital support program within your organization or community group. So that might be kind of helping to think about, how do I develop something I'm already doing, how to start from scratch, and we can provide access to a variety of different resources from other organizations, and through that kind of help you on your way. The format, really, we're going to be spending 4 half days together initially, and it'll be part workshop, part reflection and discussion. But the idea is that we'll also do some work in small groups, doing things like role playing and actually some activities, because trying to really think about our instructions and how we can kind of communicate with maybe a new device to us, but definitely a new device to the person we're supporting with. Key to this is really developing our own observation and explaining skills, exploring some best practice and some common scenarios around things like, how do I set up an email for the first time, and how do I embed its importance within that person? How do I help someone really take ownership of something? What about online shopping? Where do I even begin in helping someone to do some online shopping? And whoops, I've only got 20 minutes to do it. How do I approach that situation? We're going to share some resources around a lot around cybersecurity, but our approach to helping people feel safer as much as being safe online. I think that's absolutely key. And we're going to be looking at some of the broader safeguarding issues that we might need to consider when we're working with someone, when we're working as a group, what we might need to develop, and also think about, okay, what would I need to, where can I signpost to refer someone else onto? So as I said, it's going to be 4 half-day sessions in July, the first 4 Tuesdays. Okay, and the 2 addresses on the 2nd and 9th, it's going to be at Canberra Works, on the Canberra Business Park on the 16th and 23rd, at Kingston Quaker Centre. And then what we're going to do is have 3 monthly follow-on support sessions online, really just to kind of catch up, share ideas, get a sense of how you're getting on. And if there's anything that we can support or add to those sessions, if there's a particular subject that the group want to focus on, we can kind of do that as well. But really it's about, okay, how do you, or how will your project develop? And that's what we need to do. I think the overall target here is for us to by the end of September to have worked with 24 Kingston residents, and just looking at the different ways that we can do that. So these slides just give us a bit more depth to the structure and content of the course. So there's really 4 themes, and the first theme is kind of understanding and responding to the challenges. So understanding the barriers, identifying the type of support that you can offer and where else to go. But what technical skills do you need as an individual or as a team, which then gives you a nice checklist yourself of things that you can go away and start to improve. Looking at safeguarding considerations and really the things that you need to think about before you start your project. The next theme will be supporting people more specifically. So we call it like looking through the eyes of the learner, asking the right questions, and this concept of finding something out together. Discussing the challenge of supporting different devices. What do you do if you come across something that you've never seen before? How would you approach that situation? Working with disability and different abilities, thinking about how we would create a safe space, ensuring it is safe, and reassuring the learner that they can feel relaxed to actually, make a mistake. And that's a big jump for a lot of people. Finding and using resources, keeping track of what we're doing within sessions, and just looking at other learning options and pathways. Another theme is really around the data privacy and kind of staying safe. So we're going to think about that as an organization or a group, think about the information that we are collecting, best practice around staying safe online and password security, what we would consider being secure enough. But with it, we will also look at some transactions and how to deal with financial questions, inappropriate content, but also how we would and could help someone report a scam if they do believe they have been a victim. And if they have actually been a victim, what is it that we can do to support that person and help them then be safer, and then in principle develop their own skills there on after. And there's a theme throughout all of these will be just looking at some common scenarios and approaches. And as I said, including, setting up an email address and its importance. What is it that we need to do? Why? Online shopping, how we would approach creating accounts, managing files and storage is kind of a common one, and how we would deal with purchasing advice. So these scenarios all come through the work that we've done and the most common questions that people come and ask. So we focus, when we train our volunteers, we focus on helping them to be able to understand or answer some of the most common queries and have a response for them. So that's the kind of the overall structure and content. And I guess kind of over to you, really.